little background on how I got involved with industrial hemp here in Hawaii. I started as an organic vegetable farmer here in the Big Island. Had a 50-member CSA and supplied 3 farmers markets. I got to know one of the chair of the Department of Agriculture back in 2014 when he decided that he wanted to start a research project on how industrial hemp would work as a crop in Hawaii. So through a long process, he was able to, his name is Scott Enright, he was able to get 3 permits to grow the seed for a industrial hemp pilot project. And I applied for one of those permits and was accepted and was given a 2-year contract to grow seed for the state. During that time, I helped to develop some strains that are now accepted by the Department of Agriculture to be distributed to other farmers throughout the islands. After the contract was completed last December, I applied for a permit to be a industrial hemp farmer and was accepted in December to start growing hemp, still under research, but also able to look at the marketing potential for hemp here in Hawaii. So what I've been doing is focusing more on the genetics, on the seed strains. What type of seeds will do well here in the tropics. My farm is on the most southern point of the Big Island, so we are in the most southern point of the United States. So we're trying to develop a strain of seeds that will do well in this climate. We have been doing research with some strains out of Colorado and Oregon, and we started with the Otto and the Box. We've been working with the Acid Rain and the Cherry Wine, and we've been doing some crosses with some Chinese strains. And so the goal is to just find out what is the best and then eventually set up a cloning operation or maybe a tissue culture operation to develop the strains for the industry that will be growing here in Hawaii. At the present time, there's only 14 permits to grow hemp in Hawaii.
In the entire state of Hawaii?
In the entire state of Hawaii. There's only 3 on the Big Island. And so there's a lot of work to be done to develop some form of an industry. We need probably at least 100 people growing hemp so we can start to build the infrastructure necessary to make this a viable crop. I suppose my passion has always been to grow and to grow plants, and this opportunity to be involved with one that creates such fantastic medicine and can heal so many people has just been a godsend, because this is what I'd like to do for the rest of my life, is to continue working with this plan and helping Hawaii get involved with this incredible crop that can be worth millions, billions of dollars and could really help our struggling agricultural economy here in Hawaii. One of the first permits to grow industrial hemp here in Hawaii, and I'm also researching genetics for the state of Hawaii. That means different seed strains that will do well in our tropical climate. So what you're going to see here is some of the plant material we've been working with that is being developed for seed and for clones and for maybe even tissue culture that will be used to develop the industry here in Hawaii.
And what do you mean by tissue culture?
Tissue culture is a way in which you can take a small piece of leaf and turn it into a plant. So you take a tissue and you turn it into a plant. They do that
instead of a seed.
Instead of a seed. And
wow.
then what you do is you get the exact genetics that you want. So every plant would be the same.
Be a clone.
Seeds don't do that. Seeds always have variables in it.
Oh.
And so if you planted 1,000 plants in seed, chances are some of them would be higher than 0.3%
Of the THC.
of THC. But if you plant all clones, you know that every single one of them, or all tissue cultures, would be the same.
Gotcha.
That would pretty much stabilize the industry for the state.
And is growing it by tissue culture, is that done across the industry, or is that something you're developing?
No, they're doing it in Colorado. They're doing it all over right now. It's becoming a very big market. You know, now that they're talking about thousands of acres of CBD and hemp, tissue culture labs are massive. And they do
and is
100,000 tissue cultures.
Yeah. Is tissue culture growing plants that way? Is that a relatively new development in growing plants? I've never heard of tissue culture before, being able to grow something from a leaf.
It's kind of the first step into a genetic modified plant, but it's not. It's just a piece of the plant that is then made put into a
like a petri dish,
and with certain chemicals, and it becomes a root, and that root then gets planted.
And here you're able to do tissue cultures
not
here?
Yet. Not yet. That's part of what I'm looking for, is some money to help develop.
Some investors to help you do that, so you can keep your crop more monogamous and keeping the THC level and controlling your crops better to give you exactly what you want. And you were
when you're dealing with a number like 0.3%, it's really difficult to stay stable, and especially when you're trying to make medicine and you're trying to make a high CBD strain that's going to be up there in the 10 to 15%.
So you can replicate it every time.
So if you find that one,
strain,
that one plant that actually gives you that genetics that you like, then you can continue multiplying that same plant.
And that's kind of what you're doing over here genetically with growing the different plants and crossbreeding them?
Yeah.
Trying to get that?
I'm just trying to find out. We look at different characteristics in them and try to find out which ones look better, and then we test them to find out what their numbers are. And we pick out certain ones that we are, really likely to do.
And then also finding what grows well here. So you have to get something that grows well here, has the right THC level.
Right.
And what else?
Insect issues.
All those things.
If you have a plant, I can show you some of the plants that have a little bit of mite on them, and some that don't. And so you pick the ones that don't. Yes, and let's just keep walking. Yeah. This is what's called the KAU XXX, and it's a genetic strain that I grew for the Department of Agriculture, and its particular characteristic is more of a fiber-like plant, because it gets very tall, can get almost 3 inches around and get 20 feet tall. In fact, this whole field here will be direct planted with little plugs about this big, and we won't have to do any watering, I hope, and we won't have to do anything. We'll just plant it direct.
Plant it and nature will take over for you?
Nature will take over for us. Most of what you see here is not being watered. This is all being done from the rain. Feminized seed. So we're learning how to stress a female to where they will produce male pollen. And if they produce male pollen and pollinate the female, all the seeds will be female.
Oh, wow.
So there'll be no males. And that's another really important aspect of what we're trying to do here in Hawaii, is if we're going to grow for medicine, we might as well keep the males out of this industry as much as possible. And a lot of this stuff is getting very close to harvest. Look at how pretty they are. Now, there's some. Let me show you some over here. This is. See, this one's pretty much done. You can see the hairs are starting to come out. You're starting to get a few worms. When the buds start to develop, the worms start to come. So you really want to get them. I've been kind of waiting to harvest this so I can hang it and dry it.
Smell it.
Oh boy, the terpenes in this. I wish I could make you smell this here.
Let me smell.
Yeah. You know the little spotted stuff on there? All that little hairy looking stuff on there? Those are kind of like trichomes. That's where all the medicine is. Now this particular one, you can see right in there, there's all these little ones here. On hemp, but they're not quite as strong as some of the THC strains, but boy, it's in there. I am one of the few that legally are growing it, so it's pretty exciting to be a part of that and be in the very beginning of a great new industry for the state of Hawaii. Just dealing with our own state and staying in the guidelines of state law, we could have a multi-million-dollar industry here in Hawaii. This is going to make some fine medicine.